Everyone, I'm not in my usual space. I'm actually packing up and I'm moving into a new spot, but I couldn't wait any longer to do a review of the AlgoLaser. I was sent the AlgoLaser DIY Kit MK2 to try out and review. Let's see what we have here. And I think we're going to start with this honeycomb platter. I don't usually find unboxings are super thrilling, so I might just time-lapse this. I know nothing about laser stuff at all, so this could be pretty interesting. This is the enclosure, and maybe I will skip to the main package. Now, I've been into 3D printing for quite a while now, for a few years, and I have been thinking about getting a laser engraver. I thought that would be a lot of fun, both for doing extra crafts and projects, and for adding a little something extra for some of my other builds within the Nerf hobby. How cool would it be to do little serial engraved metal inserts that could be put into a 3D printed build? How cool would it be to actually do some wooden pieces to inlay inside of some other builds? And honestly, just to make some other fun stuff, like these slate coasters. These are Mega XXL. This is our competitive Nerf team. Some coasters with that logo. This is just kind of a sample one. I didn't have it quite positioned quite right, but it gives you the idea. Etching in a team photo into the other side of the coaster, logo on one side, picture on the other. That's just kind of one option. I did a bunch of fun wooden coasters. We have some Nerf dog ones. Again, we have the Mega XXL, Plain Jane, Maritime Foam. These are all things I'm gonna be putting on Etsy. They're kind of fun. I'll probably be doing some giveaways. I'm gonna be putting some kind of funny little Nerf related slogans on some of these. I guess my point is, it's a lot of fun. The more tools you have for crafting and making, the better. I even made this little sign for my daughter's room, for her new room in the new house. It's just been a lot of fun to learn how to use this machine. As someone who's done a lot of crafting in the past and cosplay and building and working with foam, I'm excited to have this as a tool for that as well. Traditionally, when I'm building stuff, I would kind of cut things out by hand with X-Acto. Love the idea of being able to laser out with precision some little add-ons or pieces. This is a 3mm piece of plywood, and this 10-watt laser that they sent me, it had no problem cutting through with a lot of precision this sample piece of wood that came with it. That's a pretty clean cut. Now this is part of a bigger model that it turns out I didn't have a big enough piece of wood for, so I aborted it. But I'm still impressed with this. I should have just used cardboard as a sample. I got overexcited and used one of the plywood pieces that they gave. But cool. Now I'm printing something that's actually smaller. I'm wearing some really cool shades to protect my eyes. Now I'm really glad that I got them to set along the enclosure, and I can see where having the fan would be good. It's kind of smoky. This is not really an apartment device. I'm gonna have to figure something else out. The sample projects that are on board on the laser, I wish they had a few that were a little bit simpler. It was a lot of complex projects. I didn't actually finish any of those, but I did do some cuts just to test and see how well it went through this wood, and it does pretty well. A 10-watt laser, from what I've read and understand, again, this is all new to me. This review is more just, I guess, to see how you would make out if you're completely new to this like I am. I think for 10 watts, this is probably getting to be the limit of how much you can go through with this type of material. Like with a 10 watt, I don't think you're going through something this thick. The cool thing is it is modular. There are different levels of lasers available. I think they have up to a 40 watt available, but I think this 10 watt for me, a beginner, is gonna be just great. I have some early samples I did in cardboard, putting my logo on there, which is really cool. This is something I might start doing when I send out boxes for Etsy. I think I'm going to laser on my logo right onto the box. I just basically had to put this, because it's cardboard, on a lower power. It looks really cool. And these are some metal tags that I bought. And look at that, Maritime Foam logo on there. I really love the detail, lasering things. It's so precise. These little dog tags, these are something I'm probably going to do. So when I travel to events, if you're hanging out with me on a squad, I'll give you one of my dog tags to take with you. And maybe if people want custom ones, I can put their logo on it. I just love this as an option for crafting. Now, I was given the option when I was sent this to pick out 2 accessories. I thought it would be practical to pick the enclosure, which I'm glad I did, because a laser, you don't want to mess around with that. This came with a big pair of thick sunglasses, essentially. You can't look at the laser. It needs to be out of sight, out of mind. I don't know that in your dining room is the best area for a machine like this. I'm going to have mine in my garage, but for right now, because I'm in an apartment, I just cranked the window open and I used it in here to do some testing. But this enclosure is great. This way it can run. I don't have any worry about someone coming out and walking by it. This is a collapsible enclosure, but it's all pretty sturdy. It has some venting back here. So when I get to when I have this in the garage, I'll be venting this out a window. And over here on the side, it actually has some controls for a fan. I don't know if you can hear that. And for a light that can be turned on as well, right from there. So that was the first accessory they sent along. And now I'm gonna remove this so we can just look at the laser. Again, I generally use this with the enclosure on. For actually reviewing, I'm sure you wanna see the laser, not just a big box. And here is the kit itself. Seems a lot smaller without that big enclosure. This was pretty easy to put together. Towards the end of this video, I'm going to collect up a few kind of quick start notes that I found right away. You can kind of skip to that. I'll put chapter markers in. If you got one of these and you're just looking for what should I watch out for, I'll put those at the end. But just broad strokes, it was pretty easy to put together. I did have to put on the tread down here. It had to be inserted in the rails. This came with all the rails apart. I talked a little bit about having to install the belts here. This belt goes with the teeth face down and then goes under this roller, up over that, and then under the next roller. And then you use these little screws at either end to fasten the belt down. Tension should basically just be snug. Not super tight, but you don't want a lot of give in it. I don't know much about tensioning belts, and I seem to have got it first try. This cross assembly was all together, so that was not too hard. We just slid that on. It wasn't that difficult. The instructions were pretty good. So the second accessory was this honeycomb mesh. So you put this underneath your laser, and when you set objects on it, there's little fasteners that kind of click into this grill, and it's backed by an aluminum sheet. It's just a great way to protect whatever surface you're on. Overall, I've been really impressed with this and having a lot of fun with it. It's going to be a permanent part of my workshop installation. I can only see myself doing more of this. There is an accessory that lets you mount bottles and glasses, a roller. AlgoLaser does sell one of those. I'm probably going to buy one so that I can actually engrave tumblers and glasses. I think that would be a really nice option to be able to do well. Just basically a rotary track that rotates an object for you. And there's a couple other accessories as well. Let's take a close look now at a few of those things that I wish I'd known before I started putting it together and the first time I used it. And I'll show you a few ways that you can connect it, both wired over USB and wirelessly. I'm on a Mac, so they're a little bit particular to me, but the documentation otherwise is pretty good. Let's take a look at one thing that kind of foiled me a little bit right off the bat. It's a silly thing, but when you get this little safety might be pushed down and turned. And if it is, when you turn it on, oh, you get an emergency stop button has been pressed. Now it's interesting. I think I've updated the firmware since. When I first got this, it didn't even give me a clear warning as to what was happening, but luckily I did some reading and discovered what was going on, and I released this button. That's actually really cool to see that they've updated that to make it a lot clearer. Oh, I got some wood dust here. And then in here, you have where you can set up your Wi-Fi, you can access different projects, controls from your laser. I do most of the stuff from a computer, but you have a lot of different settings right in here that you can mess with. And there's some sample projects on here as well, some examples, and you can use an SD card to load projects right on the engraver. That'd be handy if you had projects that you were doing over and over and over again. I really generate most of mine from a laptop. And then for adjusting the laser up and down, you have those 2 pins here. And the reason you would raise it up and down is you actually put your material, let's see, I'll put this little down here. You put your material on the bed and then you use this and you drop the laser until it's sitting on the rim of this, which means your laser's in focus. You always want your laser to be this bottom part away from your object. So it's pretty easy. I'm sure there's probably versions of lasers with auto, not leveling, but auto focus, I guess. but that is incredibly quick and easy to do, so that certainly didn't bother me. I'm using Lightburn as my software. It does have a 30-day trial and then you have to pay for it, but it does seem to be kind of the standard around laser engraving. If you want to connect wirelessly, that's not that hard to do. You can set up a profile. I've set up this Wi-Fi profile. So once you've added the proper profiles, you can connect via USB right here, down around to here. And if you do that, the thing to remember is it might show different options under your profile. You need to choose this USB modem option. Just a quick note in here, I can import artwork from Illustrator. I'm a graphic designer, so that's generally what I do. But you can do a lot of stuff with the tools right in the Lightburn software, and you can choose to either have your objects be fills or lines. If it's a fill, it'll burn in the whole thing. If it's a line, it'll just outline it. And over here, there's a lot of different options for power and speed. Power and speed are kind of how you determine how dark the burn will be, whether you're cutting or just engraving. There's a lot of tutorials out there where you can look up what settings, what speed and power should I have for certain objects and crafts. If I was going to do my peeps hello sign here, I should switch it to hello peeps. I would go up here, and the first thing I would do after I put my material down is I would hit this frame button, and that will just show me the outline of the object that will be lasered. That helps me position my material where I want it to be. Let's engrave peeps hello into our cardboard here. I'm gonna go and keep it at a pretty low power for 20, and I'm gonna make the peeps, I'm gonna make it 10, which lower power will make it a little lighter than the other one. Now I'm going to hit start, and I'm not looking at this. I'm just letting this record a little bit so you can see it. That doesn't look very dark. So I think what we're gonna do when this is done, actually I'm gonna stop it. I'm actually gonna go back here. I'm gonna put the power up a bit. It's a bit of a learning curve on what power to make these things. I did 60 and 40. There we go. So in conclusion, I would definitely recommend the AlgoLaser if you're looking to get into a laser machine. The price is not too bad, seems pretty competitive from everything that I've looked at both on Amazon and some other sources. I do have an affiliate link down in the description, down in the comments. If you want to get one, go through me. I found customer support was really good whenever I had questions. They were pretty prompt and fast to answer them. Nothing more fun than getting something to review that's entirely new, but I do love that this does have some ties back to my main hobby and main channel, which I love. And I also love whenever I can say good things about a product because I've enjoyed it a lot and it's worked pretty dependably. All right, everyone, until next time, keep an eye out for different shorts and different videos in future. I'll probably make a playlist just for laser engraving projects. And as I create different little things or a product, I'll share them in that so you can kind of keep up to date with what I'm lasering in the future. All right, everybody, I'll see you from the new workshop. Bye-bye.